Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this today's session of Saturday Talk by Shri Ambareesh Phadnavisi. Ambareesh has done his PhD from Technical University of Denmark in the year 2010 to 2014 from Copenhagen area, Denmark. Prior to which, after which, he has joined Indian Institute of Technology as a graduate research assistant for their 2 years and 6 months time. He is a co-founder and CEO of Grace Technologies Private Limited.
Thank you for the introduction, Rajesh ji. It's a new topic, and it's a welcome break for me to speak on something else which I really like. We have been talking and thinking about bacteria 24/7 for last few years, so it's a topic which I really used to like and I still like. But it's a welcome break to think about something which we like, but not part of our job, so to speak. Although it is, even if it is not directly a part of job, we still are governed by the contours of time and contours of social changes that happen around us, that have been happening around us even before we were born. And whatever we are doing will be the seeds of whatever social contours that may unravel in the future. So it is. So it was just a interesting way of thinking of how India, as it is today, has evolved, or rather evolved and yet stayed as it was always. The word Sanatana comes from a Sanskrit word Sat, which means that which always is, that which never changes, that which is ultimate truth. The one Sanatana literally means one which has a continuity of existential thread with the ultimate truth. So this is the very, I will take slightly more time on this particular slide because this is the very first shloka of Chanakya's Arthashastra, which I have tried to depict pictorially. Which is basically based on the teaching that Bhishma Pitamaha gave to Yudhishthira on his deathbed. So we know about Kurukshetra war, the great war, when Pandavas eventually became victorious. But Bhishma Pitamaha had the boon from his father that he will choose the time of his death. So he was waiting on the bed of arrows, which was being pierced into him by Arjun. And so he was waiting for Uttarayan to begin. So when that time arrives, Shri Krishna, along with Pandavas, visit him, and Krishna insists that he teaches Yudhishthira the essence of politics and essence of sociology, essence of administration. So whatever we call Hindu polity or Hindu way of doing politics or Hindu way of doing looking at society as a whole has its root in what do you call it, Anushasana Parva of Mahabharata. That is where it comes from. So Chanakya took these principles from other places as well and tried to define it. But his opening of his book is Sukhasya Moolam Dharma. So dharma is, why should dharma exist? Dharma should exist because to give everybody sukha, to give everybody a sense of fulfillment. Sukha literally doesn't mean happiness. I have mistranslated the word here. Sukha literally means fulfillment. Happiness will be ananda or something. There are some other words for happiness. Sukha means favorably placed, one who is favorably placed from all sides, one who is fulfilled. So to achieve that sukha, you need to follow dharma. Sukhasya moolam dharma, dharmasya moolam rajya. So the root of the dharma is held upon by polity or state. And Chanakya goes even further. What is the stable polity based on? What is the stable government based on? It is based on Indriya Jaya. He doesn't talk about other legislatives and all sorts of pillars that we see of a state, which in modern day polity we call. He says if all the players in this system that we call Rajya have control over their desires, who have not let their desires unchecked, Indriya Jaya, that keeps Rajya stable, that keeps state stable. How to achieve Indriya Jaya? He says by humility, Vinaya. So Indriya Jaya ka mool Vinaya hai. By being humble, if all the stakeholders in the socio polity that who have a wherewithal of making a decision, if they have humility, they will have control over their basal desires, and that will in turn lead to stable polity. And how do we achieve humility? by being humble and being surveillant or learning from those who are knowledgeable and greater than us. Vruddhopa seva. So dharma is the root of sukha. Dharma is held by rajya. Rajya is made stable by people in the government having indriya jaya. Indriya jaya is to be done by humility, and humility is earned by being a good student of a knowledgeable gurus. Why do we need sukha? So that we can achieve artha, kama, and moksha, the other three purusharthas or the achievements worth having in life. So, in Hindu way of life, there are four achievements that everybody has to have in order to be calling, in order to call his life as a successful life. He has to abide by dharma. He has to earn wealth, artha. Wealth also means victory. He has to fulfill his desires, kama, not just physical or carnal desires, all sorts of desires are to be achieved as long as the means of achieving them are dharmic. All sorts of wealth, how much ever we can, has to be achieved as long as the means of achieving that wealth is dharmic. And while we are doing all this, we have to remember that we are not body, we are somebody else apart from this body who is yearning to be free, and that freedom is called moksha. So it refers to adhyatmic progress that everybody has to do. So to achieve all this, a stable polity is required. It's a duty of king or a raja or a government to create an environment where everybody can pursue his dharma, artha, kama, and moksha to his best abilities without having to worry about factors which are not in his control. I mean, nobody can control natural disasters, yes, but there are so many things a government can take care of and should take care of, so that ordinary citizens should not have to take care of. There are these various we can discuss various aspects of this outlook. Some of them go into welfare state, etc. But this is essence of Hindu polity, how we call it. So this is very distinct or drastically different from the Constitution of America, which insists on pursuit of happiness. So pursuit of happiness and pursuit of sukha or pursuit of dharma, although looking similar or looks similar or sounds similar, the definition of dharma and sukha has to be understood here to know that sukha intends dharma, artha, kama, and moksha together, not just happiness as in euphoria, as is defined or is implied in American Constitution. Because there is a civilizational difference of opinion or difference of darshana amongst those who drafted Constitution of America and Chanakya and the rishis of India, who have a different way of looking at life, which we most of us adhere to. Apart from this, we have had this concept of insiders and outsiders, not just in our name, but also in the way we look at those who are from within this boundary of what we call India or Indian subcontinent, and how we refer to other people outside this boundary. We had various names for them. We had various names, and they had different names for us. For example, everybody who is outside India refers to India with some form of Sindhu river. So Sindhu became Hindu in Persian, became Indus in Greek, and Indus became India in English. So whatever form of name that we have for almost everybody outside India, I mean, even Chinese call us, refer to us as Hindu or Yondu, has its name in river Sindhu. People living to the east of Sindhu river are Hindus. That has been the case. However, whenever Indians have referred to themselves, they have referred to themselves as Bharata, or Bharati, or Bharatiya. So this name of there's even a tradition in our families. When we name our child, there is one Janmanav, based on a nakshatra of a child born, which is usually kept secret or within the family. And then when it's a Prachalitanam, so one which is to be spoken or shared to others, to the world at large. It looks like this has its origin in this trait of Indians, wherein we tend to refer to our country within ourselves with one name, but other outsiders, we would like us to be referred to with name referring to the word Sindhu or some variant of it. So maybe there is one interesting thought to share. Maybe our day-to-day habits and our habits of naming our country has some parallels and some some synchronizations attached to it. This is a very famous verse from Vishnu Purana. Modern Indologists date this to at least 400 BC. But again, as per parampara of Hindus, that has been composed by Vyasa during Mahabharata era. Anyways, so basically it refers to same thing. Country which is south of Himalayas and north of Indian Ocean is India, is Bharat. And people who live there are Bharatiya, Bharati. This is point trying to stress again and again, because it has been imbibed upon us that India is not one country. India is union of states. India is not one country. India was made India by British. Had there been no British, India would have been a squabbling group of various states. To quote Winston Churchill, if India is a country, so is equator. So just like equator is not a country, just a geographical phenomena, so is India is a geographical phenomena, as per Winston Churchill. And that has been imbibed upon us through education and through narrative, so much so that we had forgotten to reply to this using our own worldview, our own darshana. However, thanks to our parents and our gurus and our traditions, temple traditions, etc., these memories, the seeds of these memories have been kept alive in our subconscious, which are slowly now emerging. We or Hindus have tried to achieve these 6 objectives. One is to maintain the control of geography of India to those who prophesize or those who follow the Sanatan Dharma, the Sanatana Hindu way of life. Just try to remain alive while the tides are against us. Second is to overthrow the influence of visible foreign power. If the foreign power is visible, for example, Mongols. I mean, the way we look at them being depicted in our movies, they look like Indians. But Akbar, etc., did not look anywhere like Indians. They were Chinese. They were Mongolians. They have to be shown. They used to speak Turkish language in home. They used to speak Persian language in court. Nobody knew any Indian language, including as late as Tipu Sultan, who in spite of being ruling Karnataka, used to speak Persian and Turkish in his court and home life. So they were visible foreigners who were ruling India through various waves to overthrow the influence of these visible foreigners. Now, while these visible foreigners invaded, some of our own people collaborated. Hello, some of our own people collaborated with them to survive. So the third challenge has been to overthrow that collaborators. Fourth has been to reconquer the territory. So there is some territory of the subcontinent that has been lost for various durations of time. So there was a time when almost entire India was under Mughals, but maybe four states of South India were under the Vijayanagar Empire, who were living or ruling as per Indic way of politics or Indic way of existence. So from that point of view, those 4 states of Vijayanagar Empire were India then, and the rest was occupied by a visibly foreign power, at that time Mughals. So the fourth aim is to reconquer that territory, because even if it is under a foreign occupation or occupation under of foreign ideology, it still is a sacred geography. It is still a Prithvi. It is still a Sita. It's still a Bhudevi that has to be reconquered, re-liberated, so to speak. Fifth has been to reinstate the Indic system of existence, Indic way of life, into those reconquered territories. So let's assume we are able to bring back TOK. May gods fulfill our wish soon. We will need to impose or establish our norms, our system, our government policies, our way of governing into that newly territory that has been consolidated or brought in, which was earlier ours, but for some reasons has been not in our control. And last has been to bring back alienated Indians. So this 6th point has been more crucial in last 1,000 years, when the invasion of religion-based invaders took place. The earlier Scythians and Kushans and Huns and other tribes, the motive of that invasion was purely economic. But in last 1,000 years, when Islamic invasion started and later Christianity, Portuguese, etc., set up their bases, along with the economic and geographical expansionism, the motivation of religion-based conversions was also a predominant motive in their reason of existence or reason of doing whatever they were doing. So a lot of people were alienated from Indic way of life, some due to foreign influence, some due to our own negligence towards our own people. I'm referring to our own mistreatment towards section of our society. To bring all these sections back to the mainstream of Indic way of life or Sanatana way of life has been the 6th feature that various Indian governments in last 1,000 years have been trying to achieve to various degrees. There were Rajputs, who first fought against Arabs for 500 years from 700 to 1300. There was Vijayanagar Empire when everything was seemed to be lost, and Khilji won until Madurai. Vidyaranya Swami of Sringeri took these two boys of Hoysala Empire who were converted to Islam, forcibly converted. They returned back. He made them Hindu again, Harihara Rai and Bukka Rai, and they started this empire that we today call Vijayanagar Empire. Then there is famous Sisodia lineage of Mewad of Maharana Pratap, but his Maharana Pratap was his latest ancestor. His 5 or 6 ancestors before from Rana Sangha, the movement against Mughals and Lodhis etc. started. Then there was of course Maratha movement started by Shivaji. There were Sikhs in northwest India, and even after in modern history, there was this conservative movement strain in modern Indian politics since 1880s, which was trying to achieve as many as the possible of these 6 objectives that we have just enlisted in previous slide. All these people or all these ancestors of ours have tried their best, to the best of their knowledge, to the best of their means, to the best of their intellect, and to the best of their capacities, to either preserve the Hindu way of life against all odds, against tremendous odds, and even win back some, either geographically or demographically or civilizationally or culturally. And the movement is still going on. So this has been a continuous thread of Hindu resistance in last 1,000 years, which is a very magnificent story, which we usually tend to lose because we tend to look at them insularly. We tend to look Rajputs separate from Vijayanagar. We tend to look Marathas separate from Sikhs. We tend to look Marathas separate from Lokmanya Tilak or Indian National Congress or whatever Bhagat Singh was doing or whatever Udham Singh was doing. All these were essentially doing similar things. So there's a red line of continuity ever since Arab invasion started on India, first faced by Rajputs. So this when these two maps show the resurgence of how Indians have been resilient in not just maintaining their identity, the way of life, but having the military and economic and financial, all sorts of muscle to win back what they consider as their sacred land or sacred geography. As I said, she is Bhudevi, she is Prithvi, she is Sita, and she has to be conquered or won back from Ravana, who has kidnapped it. So this motive, even if we don't think of it that way, this seed of our way of looking towards life has been so deeply ingrained in our mind, in our subconscious, that even person who does not know about history will understand why it was important to bring back Sita from Ravan. And he knows Sita was daughter of Bhudevi or Prithvi, and hence we should know this is a sacred geography. We should do something about it. Indians has been a very possessive about national integrity. Even in last 80 years of our independent existence, one thing which all governments of modern India have never compromised upon is territorial integrity of India. They have looked at Indian territorial integrity more or less like Maryada of Sita, that should not be touched or should not be touched at any cost. This tendency of zealously guarding our boundaries, guarding the boundaries of our Punya Bhumi, has its origins in the first slide that I showed. Prithvi Samudra Paryantaya Ekarayiti. This is the culmination of whatever was started using during Rajput era. This entire 1,000-year existence culminated in 1700s with defeat of an ideology which was festering and invading India for 800 years. Of course, this eventually lost to another foreign ideology that we call East India Company 50 years later. That is a second story in itself henceforth. But we tried to fight back in spite of all odds, ever adapting to technology, ever adapting to new ideas to win back what we call ours. Has been constant feature of India. So there's also a constant feature even in the people who have been who has been invading us since last let's say 1,000 years, namely the tendency of Islamic Ummah to dominate India. This Ummah has been activating periodically. It activated during 1857, during 1947, during Panipat, during Aurangzeb era. Hindus or Indians have been relatively disunited, as I said, geographically disparity between Vijayanagar and Rajputs. Even if the ideological threats look seems to be same, but they fought many times separately. And thirdly, which is most importantly, and which we as engineers and entrepreneurs should know, there was a technological leap happening outside India, which India missed out. That was the artillery and gunpowder, invention of gunpowder. We simply did not have enough access to ores which produced gunpowder. We did not have enough access to good quality horses. Just like today, we don't have oil. We do not have lithium. Maybe nowadays we say there have been huge stocks of lithium discovered in Kashmir, but still, I mean, we are still dependent on oil for on a territory which is inimical or which might turn inimical anytime. Similarly, we did not have horses. Horses were to be imported from same regions like Arabs from Central Asia against whom we were fighting. So there was this loss of technological parity, which kept us on leash, so to speak. Things started changing after gunpowder was the ores of saltpeter from of nitrates etc. were discovered in Telangana region, in Golconda region, and that has turned the tide. So one of the main factors which led to success of Shivaji and his subsequent descendants was evolution of horse breeds which could live in India and discovery of various gunpowder reserves around Golconda region. That helped us build our own cannons and build our own gunpowder. To sum up, this has been a consistent 90-year cycle in Indian history. So every 90 years, some major invasion or some major incidents happens in India, which leads to a lot of bloodshed, which leads to a lot of chaos, and which leads to either Indics or Indians or Hindus coming up on top or Hindus losing out. So there is make or break event kind of events happening every 90 years. I don't know the reason for it repeating every 90 years, but that has been happening for last 3-4 years. So it should not be a coincidence in my opinion. It should be worth looking. It should be worth looked at. So ever since the invasion of Timur Leng or Timur the Lame from 1400 1399, every 90 years Portuguese and massacres of western coast happen. In 15, 17 and 80s, Akbar's invasions of Rajputana happen. Inquisition in India starts. Portuguese, one of the bloodiest chapters in Indian history. Inquisition of Hindus in Goa, in Vasai, where we are located, where I am located right now, where Janyu is located right now. It was epicenter of Catholic Inquisition against Hindus by Portuguese. 17 and 80s, there was 27-year war between Marathas and Aurangzeb. 27 years continuous fighting and killings. But eventually we ended up winners in that particular conflict. 1750s and 60s and 70s. Panipat, Battle of Buxar, Battle of Plassey. All these main events when the coin could have fallen heads or tails. But this coin flipping moment, the defining moment, 1760s, 1850s, 1857, very well famous. We don't need to rehash that. 1940s, 1947, Second World War, and the next coming window is 2030s, 10 years from now. So the way things are looking, the way things are shaping, we are moving towards that high point of bloodshed in next 10 years. That has repeated last 7 to 8 times in last 90 years cyclical manner. So what could that be? How to better prepare, and how to, I mean, it's not that we always lost on it. In few of the occasions, we have actually used this period of chaos to emerge victorious. We did it in 1947. We did it in 1760s. In 1680s, we emerged victorious, but at the price of at a very, very, very heavy price in terms of blood, in terms of monetarily, financially, and human resource wise. Similar window is approaching in 2030s and 40s. So we have to be prepared, and we have to keep our eyes open as to what can be done, how it might shape up, what are the technology as an entrepreneur from engineering and tech background, what are the domains that we as a civilization and we as a country are lacking. For example, we are lacking in ability to make semiconductors. In my in from whatever little I know, there are various lacunae in our ability to make certain drugs, certain cloning, certain biotechnological methods that we do not have yet, which West has. Ability to make mRNA vaccines, for example. All these technologies Just like there was ability to make a longer range cannon was as important in 17 and 1500s, ability to make fast mRNA vaccine might be one of the limiting technologies that which if we do not have, we may suffer. Or ability to make those fine semiconductor chips, lack of which we may suffer, and if we have it, we may emerge victorious. So we have to think about it as engineers and entrepreneurs and see in what way we can supplement that, so that this coming decade of chaos, the decade of chaos is coming no matter what. How can we use it for our benefit? Thank you.
Ambareesh,
Yes, sir.
as usual, your sessions are always absorbing, so much absorbing. You are not knowing that the time is running out.
Yes, thank you.
See, I don't know. Today, Mr. Dr. Chaitanyagiri and Dr. Sheshadrichari both are not there. Otherwise, they were touching a similar subject. If you remember, in one of the speeches, Chaitanyagiri was telling about if you are not cautious, this Amrita Kal may turn out to be a doom's call.
True.
Yeah, he was talking about it. And thanks that you recollected so many of our past, and we are not celebrating victories. Our history is mentioning the failures more and highlighting the failures more. Thanks for that. I only wish that you will be in some of the academic committees in future and infuse confidence on our people that we are the only civilization who sustained. As you said, Greece and other people lost out. They could not even sustain the invasion for more than 100 years.
Yes.
So that way we are in such a vast area. Probably Israel, Palestine and all may be a very small area to talk about.
True.
So thanks for recollecting all that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me a platform.
Yeah, any further questions?
Yeah, Ambareesh, this was very captivating.
Thank you, sir.
Spellbound.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to, laud your effort on combining all the Hindu, responses, I will say. Otherwise, people only talk about Rajputs or the people from South as a disparate effort. They do not talk about it as an India or Hindu effort.
Yes,
and
exactly.
And weaving this to dharma is something which is first time I've heard in such a nice fashion. Thanks for the
perfect. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Ambareesh ji, Saurabh here.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. I joined little late, but I am also of the opinion that Hindus should awaken. And technologically, like JanyuTech and other companies which are doing a lot of new innovations, my best wishes in cyber security, because next war will be in the
True. Exactly, sir.
abolishing the data. And you know that the fundamentalists in other religions are also now technologically evolved because of the oil money in the Gulf. Now they are all pumping towards war. So they will purchase the technology like cyber security risk and all those things and try to wipe out your all assets, the data especially. So we should be very much aware of this, and cyber security is a burning topic today. In fact, we should work towards this. We should develop such type of robots which will basically protect the household. Suppose somebody attacks, like in the name of jihad or in the name of something, people are now they are basically howling a lot that they will go inside the rooms of Hindus, and then Hindus mostly they don't keep the ammunitions. So robot could be a very good ammunition which future JanyuTech can develop. Household robots to protect Hindus, especially as soon as somebody knocks the door and then tries to break the security and do something nuisance inside, the robot can actually hit back them. That is the future I can see.
There's a small anecdote, sir. Again, during Maratha era, there was a specific way of fermenting ghee using a fungus, and if that ghee is applied to a wound, the wound won't turn septic. Okay. So now today we know it is mostly some fungus secreting antibiotics that we call antibiotics, but they didn't know that antibiotics there. But ability to churn out that ghee in tons and having it supplied to all forts and all military units. There was no platoon or battalion like a unit then. but whatever 5,500 unit, whatever the tukdi was, the ability to have it produced and supplied to every unit, so that every person who is wounded should not have should have access to this particular ghee, lap of this ghee, was one of the key driving forces behind the victory of Marathas against Aurangzeb.
Okay, I think the session itself was so explanatory, and we got to know many new things in the history of so much long era. Ambareesh has covered.